This episode of the Endpoints of View podcast is brought to you by SentryBay, home of the armored client, the world's most advanced endpoint protection.
Okay, let's be honest. Endpoint security. Not exactly something that gets you pumped for the day, right? But what if I told you? It's the difference between keeping your digital life safe and, well, becoming the next cautionary tale. We're diving into some seriously interesting stuff today. Data breaches. Got a whole stack of recent reports and company materials, and trust me, some of this stuff is, let's just say, it's eye-opening. And look, this isn't just about those massive hacks you see on the news, the ones taking down huge corporations. This is about you, your data, the stuff you probably don't even think about, and the devices you use every single day. And that's where things get really interesting. Because the game, it's changed. Remember when you just needed some antivirus software, a strong firewall, and you were good to go? Those days are long gone.
Yeah, I mean, one report said credential loss from these breaches up 500% just in the past year. And get this, 68% of businesses hit by attacks that started at the endpoint.
Hold on. 68%. So almost 7 out of 10 businesses. Those are some pretty terrifying odds. What's changed? Why is this happening now?
It's the way we work now, right? Everything's connected. Hybrid work, remote work, it's great. But that old idea of a company network, that protected bubble around your data, gone. Poof.
So what, now our devices are the weak link?
Basically. Laptops, tablets, phones, you name it. If it connects, it's a target.
So our devices are like open doors for these cyber criminals.
It's a whole new ballgame. The old ways, antivirus, firewalls, they're still important, don't get me wrong, but it's like using a moat and drawbridge to protect your castle when the enemy has airplanes,
Right. You need to up your defenses, for sure. So is this where this whole defense beyond detection thing comes in? We've been looking at SentryBay, and they seem to be doing something really different. I'll admit, I'm intrigued.
Defense beyond detection. It's about shifting the whole mindset, not just detecting threats, but actually stopping them from getting the data in the first place. Like imagine, hackers get into your system, right? But they can't steal anything because it's all locked down, useless to them.
Okay, now that's an image. So how do they do it? How does SentryBay actually pull that off?
They have this software, Armored Client, and it's all about protecting data at the source, right where those hackers try to get their hands on it.
So instead of just building stronger walls, they're securing the valuables inside.
Exactly. It's all about being proactive.
And it all comes down to how this armored client thing works, right?
It's exactly.
Okay, so give me an example. How does this armored client thing actually work in the real world?
Okay, so say a hacker. They're trying to steal your passwords, right? And they're using a keylogger.
Keylogger, yeah, those are scary.
You record every keystroke you make. Basically like handing over the keys to the kingdom.
Not good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Armored Client, it scrambles those keystrokes. The keylogger captures, well, nothing, really.
So even if they get that keylogger on my system, it's useless.
Exactly. Oh, and it gets even better. It also has screen capture blocking.
Wait, what?
So picture this. Hacker tries to take a screenshot of your bank account, your passwords, whatever. Black screen.
It's like those privacy screens.
Yeah.
The ones you put on your laptop so people can't peek. But for your actual data...
Exactly. And think about it. With remote work and all, anyone could be digitally looking over your shoulder these days there.
It's true. Okay, but this all sounds great in theory, but what about, those big data breaches we keep hearing about? Does this stuff really hold up in those situations?
That's the thing, right? Even the big guys, they're not immune. Like, take ICBC, Industrial and Commercial Bank of China.
ICBC, one of the biggest banks in the world, ICBC.
That's the one. Got hit by a ransomware group, Hunters International. Used some pretty nasty malware.
And we're talking, they stole millions of files.
Millions.
Okay, so not exactly small potatoes then.
No, and this is why these financial institutions, they're the biggest targets. I mean, they've got the data hackers want.
It's like the digital equivalent of robbing Fort Knox.
Exactly. And it shows why this whole defense beyond detection thing is so important. Because even if those hackers, even if they get past your defenses, the data is still protected.
So even in the case of ICBC, if they had this armored client thing, the hackers still could have gotten in, but they couldn't actually get anything useful.
They might get in the front door, sure, but the crown jewels, locked up tight.
That's reassuring, at least. But I imagine most companies aren't at that level of security yet.
You're right, unfortunately. I mean, look at Slim CD, for example, payment processing company. Got hit with a breach. Nearly 1.7 million people affected.
1.7 million? That's a lot of people.
It is, and it just goes to show you can't be too careful. In their case, those hackers, they had access for almost a year.
A year? Seriously, how do you not notice that for a year?
It's how they operate, these hackers. They fly under the radar, just siphoning off data. Quietly, no fuss.
So what's the takeaway here? They did eventually catch them.
I did. To their credit, Slim CD, they did what they could to limit the damage. But it was reactive, you know.
Like closing the barn door after the horse has bolted.
Exactly. The damage was done.
It makes you wonder, what if they'd had something like Armored Client from the start?
Right. It's not just about protecting data, is it? It's about protecting people.
It's about peace of mind for everyone. So we've talked about a company that was attacked, a company that got hacked. What about, like, the people who do this for a living, analyze this stuff?
The cybersecurity gurus.
Yeah.
Even they're starting to take notice. Gartner, for example, they called out endpoint access isolation. Said it was a major innovation trigger.
Innovation trigger. Sounds a little bit sci-fi, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got a bit of a ring to it.
But in plain English, what are we talking about here?
Okay, so basically, it's about creating this, like, secure bubble around your apps, your data. Even if you're on a dodgy network, using a device that's not really secure.
So it's not about keeping everything out. It's about protecting the important stuff no matter what.
Exactly. It's like you put your valuables in a vault. Doesn't matter where you take that vault, it's still safe.
Okay, I like that analogy. And that's what SentryBay is doing with this Armored Client software.
That's it, creating that vault for your data.
And Gartner sees this as, what, like a big deal in the cybersecurity world?
Huge. Not just about building a better mousetrap anymore, it's about changing the whole game.
It's about staying ahead of the bad guys. So where does this leave us? What's the main takeaway for, the average person listening?
I think it's this. Endpoint security. It's not just an IT thing anymore. We all have to be thinking about it.
It's like wearing a seatbelt. You don't plan on getting in an accident, but better safe than sorry, right?
Exactly. And yeah, having the right security software, that's crucial, especially for businesses.
Absolutely.
But it's only part of the equation,
What's the other part?
Awareness.
Yeah.
We have to be smarter online, more careful about the links we click, the emails we open.
So no more clicking on those "you've won $1 million" pop-ups, no matter how tempting.
Definitely not. And hey, while we're on the topic of good habits, when was the last time you changed your passwords?
Okay, you got me there. It's been a while.
That's what I thought.
All right, so I think that's a good place to leave it for today. The world of data breaches, endpoint security, it's definitely a lot to think about, but hey, knowledge is power, right?
Right. And a little caution never hurts either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe out there.
This episode of the Endpoints of View podcast has been brought to you by SentryBay, home of the Armored Client, the world's most advanced endpoint protection. For more information, visit sentrybay.com.